Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Robin's Nest. Today we're going to talk a little Supercross. We had a pretty good race weekend out in Denver this past weekend, Saturday. It was pretty entertaining. But something happened with Haiden Deegan that I'd like to dive into and give my opinion on it. It may not be a popular opinion, but I think it's something that needs to be said. So we'll just put that out there, and then we'll talk a little bit about the NASCAR race this weekend, if you can call it a race. But we'll get into that too at Texas. So without further ado, before I do get into that, if you'll look closely, this is a trial run of our t-shirts. We got one made. I was kind of wanting to see how it turned out. I like the way it turned out, so we're going to put in an order for some more. So keep an eye out. That's upcoming. Also, we're working on a video I think you're going to enjoy. We're going to do kind of a tribute. I made a post about this, but kind of a tribute to Top Gear. We're going to go, I think in 2006, they did an American special where they went from Miami up to, through Mobile and eventually ended up in Louisiana. This is right after Hurricane Katrina happened, so I'm pretty sure it was 2006. But regardless, we're going to retrace some of their steps because we live, the road, one of the roads that they drove down is literally 50 feet from where I'm sitting right now. So it'd be pretty cool, I think. So keep an eye out for that as well. So anyways, let's get into it. Okay, so for those who don't know, I'm sure most people on this channel know who Hayden Deegan is. She raced in NASCAR. I think she's in Indy Next. Now, I'm not really sure if she's still in Indy Next. I know she was supposed to be a rookie this year. I haven't kept up with it like I probably should. Their parent, dad, is Brian Deegan. Super famous from freestyle motocross, off-road racing, stuff like that from back in the day. They've got their own YouTube channel. So, and Hayden, her brother, races in Supercross, and he races 250s, and he just won the championship Saturday night. But there's a lot of controversy surrounding it, and the reason being is his teammate Cole Davies, who by the way is a rookie this year. It's pretty impressive that Cole's already running for race wins and stuff, being a rookie straight out of the gate, 17 years old. But he kind of left the door open. Hayden had caught him. Davies was leading. I can't remember the exact point number, but Hayden had to have something like 20-something. No, that's too much. I don't remember the number. He had to have X amount of points by the end of that race in order to win the championship. He had to finish X amount of places in front of Davies to win the championship, clinch it, and it not go into Salt Lake City this coming up weekend. So he ended up catching Davies. Davies was leading. He left the door open. Hayden drove off into the corner, reckless abandon. Hip checked Davies, knocked Davies off the racetrack. Davies, I think, got back up, ended up finishing 5th. And then Hayden, he's getting booed like crazy because his pass, if you want to call it that, on Davies was absolutely ridiculous. And that a side note too, by the way, I've seen a lot of people have been saying, and the Deegan family it's one of those families, and I have nothing personal against them, okay? But you know how fans are of any particular person. No matter what they do, there's going to be an excuse for it. They're going to try to paint it as, he left the door open, championship's on the line, what do you expect? You don't just go into the corner, number one, and just clean somebody out. I don't care what's on the line. And Davies is his teammate on top of that. So, but I think, that logic of what did you expect to happen? He left the door open. Okay, so the next time someone gets penalized in Formula One, sports car racing, what have you, supercars, for going into the corner and cleaning somebody out, they should just jump out of the car and tell the officials, hey, dude, what did you expect? He left the door open. What did you think I was going to do? Pass him clean? Why would I do that? He left the door open. You should expect that you're going to get run over if you leave the door open. It's just an idiotic thing to say. And then the other argument is, well, No, those are different forms of racing. Like Supercross is its own animal. It's not like that in Supercross. You know, in Supercross you run each other over. That's nonsense too. I've watched Supercross since I was a kid. My dad used to race in Supercross. I know a little bit about it. I've seen guys race each other for championship time and time again and not clean each other out. So no, there's no excuse for it. Okay, what it boils down to is Hayden is a spoiled little brat. Okay, and he demonstrated that in his post-race interview when he was getting booed nonstop, and he told the crowd, "If you don't like it, you can suck it," and that's a direct quote. So a professional athlete getting on stage after winning a championship and winning a race, telling the fans they can suck it. It's just immaturity, you know? That's what it is. It's just absolute, it's immaturity, it's being spoiled. The kid has no respect for what he does or who he races with or who he's performing for. Without fans, there wouldn't be a sport, number one. Okay? The fans pay your bills. That's in any form of racing. Right? So to get out there and just insult everybody like that is absolutely the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. Apart from that one supercar race back in, I think, like the late 90s where I can't remember who it was, but he got on the podium and he told the fans that you're a pack of assholes. It's a direct quote. The difference between that situation and Hayden's is Hayden's got a track record of being an arrogant little, you know what, silver spoon little rich kid is what he acts like. And I hate that too. You know, I was a huge fan of Brian's back in the day. Like when I was younger, when I was, watching Supercross or Freestyle or whatever. I was a big fan. And so naturally I would pull for his kids when they were coming up. But they've both turned out to be complete, like, spoiled brats. Haley, not near as bad, okay? Just to be clear. But the whole thing when she got let go from AM Racing in the Xfinity Series and she tried to make it out about because of her gender. No, it's because you weren't performing. You know, when they took you out of the car and they put somebody else in the car and the car automatically goes out there and gets a top 10, you haven't sniffed the top 10. Yeah, it's not because of your gender. It's because of your ability or lack thereof. And Haley has got a lot of ability. She's one of the most talented drivers I've ever seen on dirt. On asphalt, not so much. And there's no shame in that. There's a lot of guys that couldn't. Look at Travis Pastrana. He's been successful in everything that he has done, except for NASCAR. It's just a different beast. There's a lot of finesse that goes into it and so on and so forth. But and Hayden, by the way, was arrested a few weeks ago for racing, street racing, and doing donuts and stuff like that in the street. And then the dude gets online after that, making a joke about being arrested. Like, who cares? I know because of my last name that I'm not going to face any real consequences. Was the message that he was delivering. Now, what I can't wait to see, and I'm going to show you a clip of everything that happened, but what I cannot wait to see, okay, is for him to get on the 450. I want to see if he's actually, because he is fast on a 250. No doubt about that. Got no shame in admitting it. And this is not just me hating on him. Like, I want to see the kid be successful in 450s. But with the attitude that he has, it's not going to happen. Okay, even if he comes out of the gate and he's fast. Those guys on 450s are not going to put up with that crap just because of who your daddy is. And that's another thing on 250s. He's gotten into it several times with Beaumare, I think is how you say his name. Juju is his nickname, which is ridiculous in of itself. But he gets into it with these kids, and they don't ever do anything about it. They just kind of let it go, and it's because of who his daddy is. They don't want to piss off Brian or anything like that, which I get. But I think you get to 450, these guys are already established. You go in there and you try to use up Cooper Webb or try to use up Plessinger or somebody like that, I mean, or Chase Sexton, it's not going to fly. It's not going to. They will plant his ass real quick. So I just really wish, and I hope, that the kid grows up. And sooner rather than later. Before he ends up doing something stupid off the track that ends up getting somebody hurt, gets himself hurt. You know, illegal street racing is stupid. Absolutely stupid. You take the risk of, you have a family on their way back from church or something like that, and you run into them and kill all of them. They had nothing to do with what you were doing, but because of your idiotic decisions, that's what happened. And we live in the social media era now where these kids just, they grow up, and I've had the same issue with my kids, so I'm not saying anything that I haven't dealt with myself. Not to the same extent, but I've had my kids have acted, like they've got no respect for things at times, and it's because of, having a phone in your face all the time, social media. All these kids think everything's a big joke. Parents don't instill values in them like what they used to, like when we were all growing up. Before cell phones. I mean, cell phones were around when I was younger, but social media certainly wasn't. It's a different day and age now. But I don't know. So here's the clip, and this is going to be, ignore that. So this is going to be Hayden post-race, and it's going to show a clip of him running over Davey. So check it out.
You feeling bad? Feeling so bad for Cole. Did I win it? Oh, man.
Monster Energy AMA Supercross 250 West, number 1 plate.
Yes! First of all, I want to congrats Cole. He's been riding really good. And 2 laps ago, I wanted that win, baby. I was going to do anything for it. And yeah, man, this means a lot to me because people doubted me all the way. They telling me I was all hyped coming into Supercross and motocross, and they just mad that I'm him, and they got to deal with it. If you don't like it, you can suck it, honestly.
But when you went up on the inside there, what was your viewpoint, and how did you think that whole thing went?
Laps ago, I seen Cole slide out, found an opening, and took the chance. And yeah, but good job to Cole on a good race.
All right, now I wanted to talk about the Texas race, the Texas Cup race, if you can call it a race. It was, number one, it was boring for the most part, and they started having crashes there towards the end. One of the crashes that absolutely just drove me nuts was Michael McDowell towards the end. I think he was running third, and you could almost physically see the wake coming off the car in front of him as he's coming out of turn 2. He was in that dirty air. And Kevin Harvick calls it a wake, dirty air, whatever you want to call it. But you could see the nose of his car take off. And I don't know if he stayed in the throttle or not, but he clobbered the fence and then went down and hit the inside fence and threw away a top 5. But outside of all that stuff towards the end, and I don't think, personally, wrecking is not entertaining to me. If I want to see wrecking, then I'll watch a demolition derby. There's plenty of those on the internet. There's plenty of those that happen around here. I don't want to see crashing. I want to see racing. Okay? I want to see good racing. I'd made a post about the Talladega race. The last 20 laps, they just stayed in line. No one tried to actually win the race. After they had been passing each other all day, running 4 abreast all day. The last 20 laps, we can't pass all of a sudden? Come on. But Texas race wasn't any better, and it's embarrassing too. I heard Jordan Bianchi and however you say his name, and Jeff Gluck on their podcast talking a little bit about this. North Wilkesboro is intended to be basically a test session for the Cup cars because NASCAR can't figure out how to make these cars race better. So we're just, they were talking about doing run what you brung and just let the teams go ham on it and figure it out, which that whole idea to me is insane. That This is supposed to be the top level of motorsport in North America. Yet they have a car that the sanctioning body cannot figure out. They don't know how to make it race better. You know, I don't even know if they're actually putting resources behind it to make it race better. It's to the point where I don't even know if they actually care. You know what I mean? The Xfinity cars race better than the Cup cars do, which is sad. You know, the cars are so aero dependent. It's pretty bad. There was a Mini Cooper, and I'm going to show you a clip of this to back up what I'm saying, because this is true. There was a Mini Cooper race in Brands Hatch this weekend, I think 2 of them. And you want to talk about entertaining racing. These guys were up on the wheel, door to door, just all around good racing, solid racing, without crashing. I mean, there was a couple spins and stuff, but overall, there was no real crashing. They put on a better show than the Cup cars, the Cup cars did in Texas.
But we're about to go racing. It is a 20-minute race. The clock will start any second because in a moment the lights will go out. It is blast off, and the MiGs are away first then, with the best start then being made by Ian Curley as they accelerate their way up towards Paddock Hill Bend for the first time. The Mini Libra cars on the back. Now, as they turn into paddock, the Mini 7s are good to go, but it's going to be Ian Curley just ahead of Kane Aston. Like, the Mini 7s are away, and there they are, with the 7Ss chasing after them. One car, I think, has been left on the line, but as they head up towards paddock for the first time, good getaway by, amongst others, the car of Daniel Munro from the outside. Spencer Wanstall also making a pretty decent start as they go through paddock. Right, back to the Melias, and it is going to be just in the lead. Ian Curley, as they are ready to get onto the Grand Prix loop for the first time. Number 23, you can see in the pack, Rupert Deeth. He's dropped back a little bit from where he qualified. The red car of Colin Peacock, the commercial brains behind the Mini 7 Racing Club. We've got one on the grass, look, coming down out of Druids. That, I fear, may well have been Giles Page out of the 7S category, the 62-year-old, as the leaders now come along Cooper Straight in the 7 and 7S battles for the first time. The cars with the 7 at the front of the number, the triple-digit cars, they're all the 7Ss, so you can differentiate those from the Mini 7s, which look similar, but again are slightly more tuned than the 7Ss, which is very much the entry-level class for the Mini 7 Racing Club. And you can see they're all in one long line as they drop down through Hawthorns for the first time of asking. The best of the 7s at the moment is Ross Billison, the electrician, who's a bit of a mini specialist after something like 12 years of racing minis of varying descriptions. There, number 41 goes through Daniel Munro. Now, he was well placed on the grid on the outside of the front row for the 7s, but has dropped back a little bit off the line as the 7Ss climb the hill as well for the first time. And it was 709, which is the car of Matthew Page, the ski instructor in the lead. The MiGs go across the line together, and it is Ian Curley just ahead then of Kane Aston. 96 thousandths as the margin as these two try to break away from Aaron Smith in third place. Very, very wide indeed, though. There goes Joe Polly, daughter of hot rod legend George Polly. Brother Dave, one of the stars of Formula 1 stock car racing these days, having been a world champion in Formula 2. And Joe, very, very accomplished racer herself. So she's one to watch, I think, over the course of the remaining 17 and 3/4 minutes of the race as the leaders come along Cooper Straight. It's still Ian Curley using all of his experience to good effect. Big deep breath as Paul Woodbridge, number 93, another driver who used to race on the ovals, loses out to the 7Ss that are all over the circuit, coming out of paddock this time on the outside line in 709. Matt Page then, late braking from the green car of Oliver Burkitt, the former Carter, as he scrabbles his way around Druids this time. How many minis can you get across the track? 3, maybe even 4 here. Big lunge to the inside line there, and Jonathan Page in 710 just gets up the inside of Paul Woodbridge, whose son Glenn is somewhere in the pack as well, and was ahead at the start of the lap. Paul's dropped back a little bit over the course of the Indy Circuit lap. Now there off the road, that's Joe Polly, is it not, who's had a moment up at Westfield. So through the gravel she has gone, back up to pace now, so places will have been lost. Ian Curley still the race leader as the Swift Tune cars in replay. You can see Deeth up the inside, clip the curb, clip Joe Polly, and also getting involved in all of that was number 36 of Josh Canning. So it was Rupert Deeth being quite courageous on the inside, hit the curb, that unsettled him, bounced him across into Joe Polly's car, hence she was in the gravel. Here are the leaders, and it's now 3 for the lead because Aaron Smith in 0, 4 times a Mini Amelia champion, has joined the party as well now. Ian Curley leads, Kane Aston in second, but Aaron Smith right there in third, trying to go the long way around on the outside at paddock, can't do it. Up the hill he goes to the outside line. The outside at Druids, if you can stand your ground, becomes the inside for Graham Hill Bend. Oh, no, you don't, says Kane Astin. And oh dear, there's one well and truly beached in the gravel at Clark Curve. That's for second place. You can see number 11, Kane Astin. 0, Aaron Smith. He's done the fastest lap of the race. But now Luke Caudle, who's the clerk of the course for the Mini 7 Racing Club, is going to have to decide whether or not we need a safety car to get the beach car out of the gravel as another one heads all over the grass. Was that Colin Peacock, potentially, in the background going wide, coming out of Graham Hill Bend? He dropped to 10th place anyway, and I fear has fallen further down the order. So there you can see in the background the car beached at Clark Curve, and Ian Curley, Kane Astin, Aaron Smith leading the way at the moment in the Mini Melia category, and walking away Ian Fraser, the former autograsser. He's the one in the gravel at Clark Curve out of the Mini Libra class, which at the moment is being led by Julian Proctor, who is well clear of the class opposition at the moment. It's Phil Harvey chasing after him. Now, what's going on in the Mini 7s? It's Spencer Wanstall ahead of Ross Billison there. And the third of the 7s currently is Damien Harrington there, look, number 29. Fourth of them, Daniel Munro, number 41. So that's the 7 lead battle. Down they come towards us. And Spencer Wanstall in the red car, just ahead of Ross Billison. Now, these cars, of course, given the complete lack of aero and the shape of the Mini, are able to slipstream. They're able to overtake very readily. And they always deliver plenty of great racing. Up towards Westfield they go once more. In fact, we're almost up to 5. There is Glenn Woodbridge, who, like his dad, started in oval racing, rookie rods, then super stocks. But when he's not racing, is a really proficient race preparation expert as well. Up the inside for second place in the Mini Melia class goes Kane Astin into Druids, and he goes through, moves himself up, goes Aaron Smith against Kane Astin, I should say, so he moves himself through. Aaron Smith up into second place, Kane Astin drops to third. Next target for Aaron Smith is going to be Ian Curley, the race leader, but now Aaron has got to try and attack and defend, of course, as up towards the left-hander of Surtees they come. Clark Curve out of bounds as far as overtaking is concerned. That young getaway from Sean King fourth. Phil Bull and Brett first by Astin, now by Smith. He's hanging on to the lead. In the meantime, what's going on lower down the order? Well, more of the Melias and the Mini Libra cars coming out of Surtees. The best of the Libra class now is Julian Proctor. Ben Norfolk has... He switches to the inside line just as Aaron Smith tries the inside line against Ian Curley for the outright race lead. The Mini Melias, 3 of them tied together, separated by 0.3 of a second. Drop downhill and a big slide there. All over the curb goes Kane Astin. Threw the car in, just about corrected the slide. Got away with that, but he's dropped off the back of the leading 2. So that briefly releases Aaron Smith. He can concentrate on Ian Curley, trying to find a way back through into the race lead. Won't take long, I don't think, for Kane Astin to get right back onto the tail of the top 2 as they head down the hill once more, going towards Hawthorns. Perfect part of the racetrack, this, to use the slipstream effect. So can Aaron Smith make a dive going towards Hawthorns? Yes, he can. Up the inside, goes through. New race leader. Aaron Smith takes over the lead of the Mini Melia class and now makes that run along the short straight up towards the right-hander of Westfield. The road drops down the hill. Start of the year, the Mini Libra wins were split there by Ian Fraser.
Or Talladega, for that matter. Or all season, for that matter. Everyone complains about that next-gen car being terrible in short tracks. No, it's terrible everywhere, okay? It's terrible everywhere. The only tracks that pass as good, decent racing is maybe like, I don't know, Atlanta, but it's basically a plate track now, so they're all going the same speed. They're all on top of one another. It's another thing Jeff Gluck said was that the cars are too close in speed, and so you basically have a DRS train now. I don't know how they fix this car, to be clear. I don't know what they do to fix it, other than scrap it. It's a failed experiment. But of course, Roger Penske and Gibbs and Hendrick and those guys aren't going to let that happen. They're the ones that pushed so hot and heavy for this car to be implemented, and we all know why. You know, they claimed it was because it's going to cut costs and all sort of kind of crap. That's not the reason why. They had a leg up on everybody. It's no different than the charter situation. Tony Stewart alluded to this. Hendrick just claimed that he signed the charter agreement just to make it go away because he was tired of dealing with it. Come on. No, he didn't. I can tell you for a fact, Rick Hendrick didn't just sign a contract because he was tired of dealing with it. No, he got a better deal than everybody else did. That's why he signed it. Same thing with this car. Those guys push for it hot and heavy because they're getting a better deal. And obviously, I mean, pretty much every weekend it's a Hendrick car, a Gibbs car, or a Penske car. I mean, why is that when the cars are all supposed to be equal? You know what I mean? It's nonsense. I don't know. I hope they get it. I hope they get it straightened out. But now you got Chris O'Donnell as president of NASCAR, so there's no hope. There's no hope. I would say it'd be, you know, if Jim left and they replace him with somebody, but that person's going to be Ben Kennedy, and he's the one that's behind the scenes pulling Jim's strings, basically, coming up with all the different nonsense that they keep implementing. A promoter's caution at North Wilkesboro towards the end of the race. If the race goes green for too long, we're going to throw a caution to make it exciting. No, just fix your damn car, and the races will be exciting. Don't need stages, don't need stage breaks, don't need arbitrary cautions thrown. No, just fix the flippin' race car, and everything else will work itself out. It's really that simple. You know, not a tough nut to crack. And with the amount of people they have working R&D, the amount of like these teams, all the smart people working behind the scenes ought to be able to figure this thing out. We shouldn't be, 2-3 years into this car and still asking the same questions? No. Nonsense. Unless it's supposed to be happening this way, which, you know, wouldn't surprise me. But anyways, there it is. Hayden, if you do see this, nothing personal. Just grow up, dude. Just grow up. You'll be better off for it in the long haul. I promise you. Alright, if you found this interesting, make sure to like, subscribe, leave a comment, turn on notifications, the works. Keep an eye out for all the upcoming projects we've got that I mentioned beforehand. They'll be coming next week or two. So, thanks for watching. We'll catch you next time. Peace.
És 100 fölfele. 100 fölfele, jobb 2 tempó, 20-ra bal 2 tempó, 20-ra bal 2 tempó, 25-re bal 2 szűk, bal 2 szűk, és bal